we're going to head on over to For the Culture, where we talk about anything that's culturally relevant to us, that we care about, that we find interesting, or, this what we want to talk about. And this week, along with the kind of running theme of this show this week,
Of
has
doing too
been,
much.
yeah, doing too much in the AI, VR, machine learning space. Um, Amazon has shown off a new Alexa feature that allows you to have your Alexa mimic the voice of your dead relative.
So
So my question is, has tech gone too far with AI with this latest instantiation of AI?
I guess it depends on who you ask. Again, my thought is this is weird and creepy, but I have not lost somebody super close to me.
Same.
I'm talking parents, I'm talking brothers and sisters,
Grandparents, yeah.
grandparents, things. I mean, I've lost grandparents, but they're grandparents, right?
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't close enough to them to suffer enough pain um, uh,
Sadness.
and sadness
Yeah.
to then try to figure out how to keep them right. It could be just me, even if they were close. I don't know, but if somebody close to me were to pass, um, I would mourn the loss, but you you move on. Well, I move on, right? I can't. I'm not
And
gonna.
you have other mementos. You have memories, you have pictures, you have voicemails, you have videos, you have ways to be able to memorialize that person.
Right. I don't think I would want to use technology to bring back my parents or my loved ones in a way to where I still feel like they're there. Again, that's just me, and I'm not saying it's wrong if you do. But I don't with I don't think Amazon would be the company that would be
That I
the
would trust with this.
those are the ones that I want to bring back my, dead ones,
And my
and
thing is, all they need is a single minute clip of that person's voice to be able to train their Alexa to use all of the words in that voice. That to
right,
me is the really scary part, is you need such a small sample of that person's voice to be
wow,
able to mimic it for all words.
wow,
That is the really uh frightening thing to me. And
R-
my thing is, of course, as we see, we just talked about with the air tags. We talked about a story where people actually use the air tags for what the air tags are used for. But you had all these other stories prior to this one where people were using air tags for things they weren't supposed to be used for.
yeah.
And I could just see where
Imagine, right?
people could take this and
Hmm.
what they could do with this on the negative side of things.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it just it's super scary. And a Google engineer, just was it last week, or the was it last week, yeah, it was last week, who has gotten in trouble and has been put on paid leave
Right, right, right.
because he published that the chat box
Hmm.
that Google has
Was
thinks it has
to
a soul, and saying that
right,
it's sentient.
right,
So my thing is, if you take this conversation, this whole separate thing of the AI chatbot thinking that it has quote unquote a soul, and then mesh that with actual voice from people and having it, and I think in the example in the story is, if a child wants their grandparent to that has passed to read them a bedtime story, you can have that voice. My thing is, it can be comforting, and I can definitely see that. and it's a way to remember. But what are the larger implications on mental health that this could possibly have? Does this distort? I guess.
It could. It could. Um, but it's been done before. Um, the one example I can think of is the newer Star Wars movies when the character that played Princess Leia, she passed before the movie was complete. And they used deep fake technology and facial recognition to complete her scenes or whatever
Same
the
with
case
Fast
may
and the
be.
Furious. You remember when what's the guy?
Paul Walker.
Yes. When
Uh-huh.
he died, they
Uh-huh.
used he had filmed some of the scenes, but he hadn't filmed all of them. So
Hmm.
they used his brother's body, but they put
Hmm.
his face on his brother's body.
Um, so it all depends. I was at the beginning of the story, I was like, yeah, this is super weird. But at the same time, and I'm not trying to say as long as it's for entertainment purposes only, I'm okay with it. This story uses the another example about Anthony Bourdain,
Mhm.
who, the loved journalist, died in
Chef.
2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used him to clone his voice in order to read quotes from emails that he sent. And people were back and forth. So I guess it all kind of depends on who you are personally, on whether you would want this. I think the pause that it brings me is, will it be commercialized? And if it's going to be commercialized, people are going to figure out every which way to capitalize off of it. And then when you kind of figure out every other which way to capitalize on it, people are going to use it for, like you mentioned, like you were getting to, they're going to use it for every and anything, where it kind of lessens or cheapens the um
The
the
lived
reason why
person's experience.
you did it in the first place, right?
Right.
So
And
um
it's very icky to me. But it's a very slippery slope because once you put that technology out there, it's no putting it back in the vault. Once it's
right.
out there, it's out there and people can use it however they choose, whether we agree with it or not. It's out there and they can do with it as they please. And you're just stuck at that point. You're just stuck with what it is and the way people choose to use it.
Yeah, and regulations are not where they're supposed to be, and
Right.
policy is always a step behind technology, yada yada, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
Again, just going back to the personal thing, I would want to memorialize, and then move on. But I'm not everybody.
Yeah.
There are people who want that extra time and want to share that extra time with their family, with their kids, like they mentioned in the story. So, I mean, if you like it, I love it. It just gives me pause about who is doing it
Yeah.
and where that can go.
Because capitalism runs everything and people are going to
Right.
find ways to capitalize off of this, whether it be financially, whether it be emotionally, like
Mhm.
emotionally manipulated. I mean, it's just all the all of all the great things that this could do, there's exponentially greater bad things that can be done with this. And it's unfortunate that we live in a society where we can't take the good in something and use it for that.
Because we know what time it is.
Exactly. Unfortunately.